I'm the Bentist, the internet's dentist, and these are the videos you tagged me in this week. Let's get learning. All right, dear braces. Oh my gosh, I know exactly where this is going on. Oh no. You know, this is actually something that I have had a lot of experience with, which is impressions. And you can just see she is, oh my gosh, and the drool. It always is the drool comes out every single time. The stories I have when it comes to impressions like this, luckily these days, you don't have to do this type of stuff. But back in the day, guys, if you do not know, we used to have to take impressions manually with this alginate. Now we do it with digital stuff and all these wands and all that type of stuff. But back in the day, especially dental school, we had to learn how to do this. And when I tell you, I have gotten thrown up on so many times. I have gotten thrown on so many times because basically the rule is you have to put that in there. If you don't get the impression, basically what happens is it's this gel, alginate, right? You mix it up, you put it in there, you stick it in the mouth, and then it hardens after like 60 seconds. The problem is if you move, you pull it out, you rip it out, someone goes some crazy, someone throws it up, someone tries to pull it out, it ruins the impression, and then you gotta get it done again. And so if you mess it up, you've got to retake the impression. So it is important that you don't mess up this impression. But then kids, you know, they'd be choking on it, whatever, they would pull it out and then they would throw up or things like that. So the rule is no matter what is going on, you hold that dang impression in their mouth for dear life, because if they are one of those impressions, you do not want to have to do another one, because if the first one was bad, the second one is 20 times worse. And so basically, yeah, we would just give them a bucket in the middle. They would literally hold it, and then if they had to throw up, they had to throw up. If they were drooling everywhere, they had to drool everywhere. I am so glad. Just be blessed that you only have to do the digital impressions anymore. Let's see what the people in the comments had to say. Someone said, why is there blood? I didn't see any blood. What is it? Let me see. Where is that at? Maybe at the end? Yeah, so I'm not seeing any blood or anything like that. I think that's the impression tray. Is just a plastic tray. It seems to be red, so they thought it was. But yeah, nothing there that I see. Someone said, stop. They still do that? No, luckily they don't. And if you are at an office that is doing it this way, that's probably a sign it's an old school office and you should probably try and find a new office, because that's kind of wild. And someone else said, OMG, I almost threw up when they did it to me. And let me trust you, it happens. It happens. So just be lucky that you don't have to ever do this again. And if you do see somebody in an office doing this, maybe run the other direction. Oh my gosh, you guys tagged me in some ton, asked me what the heck is going on with his teeth. And oh my gosh, so it looks like we're missing a teeth. A lot of these teeth are decayed. He's got something up top here. Maybe it's like a Zen or a pouch or something, or maybe he just has something white up in there. I don't know what's going on with that. But this is the sign normally of either heavy abuse of drugs. Can happen, you know, a lot of the times it's meth related and things like that. I'm not saying that that's what this guy is doing, but that's just one of the things that we see when this generalized decay everywhere. And the other is just straight up neglect, which is, we normally see it in kids, you know, where their parents don't teach them the importance of brushing and flossing. And then they just never learn that this stuff is important. Now, that's kind of why I've been doing this for 6 years, educating you guys, is so that you don't end up like this, because you may be part of a family that doesn't have importance around oral care, but at least if you see some of my videos, I can educate you on these things and hopefully guide you on the right path. Because if you go, even you can tell this kid's kind of young, he's probably in his 20s, maybe even younger than that, and he's already lost almost all of his teeth, or heavy decay on all of his teeth. Now from here, he's gonna have to get a lot of those pulled, partial dentures, maybe full dentures at this point. And it's really sad, because you know, you don't want to have this happen to you, but it definitely can happen to you. It's unfortunate, but you know, I do at least applaud this guy for posting it. I'm assuming he's not doing it just to get likes, but he's probably, you know, out here trying to show people that, like, hey, this is what can happen to your teeth if you let them go this far, and it's not good. But let's see what the comments had to say. Hopefully they kept it classy this time, but we will see. So somebody said, oh sweetie, I'm sorry for you. And that's like kind of the deal is, you know, it sucks, because I wish I could. I mean, that's actually what I'm physically doing by making these videos, but I wish I could sit down every child and educate them on, yes, your parents yelling at you to brush your teeth and floss is a good thing. You know, it's like, as kids, we think that our parents getting mean on us, or, you know, trying to direct us around or boss us or whatever. It's really that they really are looking out for the best of you guys. I mean, the reason why they yell at you, don't cross the road when there's cars driving, is because they don't want you to get hit by the bus. The reason why they tell you to go brush your teeth if you haven't, or floss, or whatever it is, I know you think it's annoying, but it's to avoid things that they probably have went through themselves or seen in themselves. And that's what I want for you guys, is to, you know, make sure that you take care of your teeth, because I want a world where we're free from oral disease. And that's what we're kind of doing at Something Nice. Is my job is literally to try and save all your teeth by eliminating oral disease completely. That's our big mission, is to completely get rid of oral disease forever. And we're doing that with our new biotech toothpaste, the Zero Pro, that's out now, or at least it'll be out by the time you see this video, potentially. November 21st is when it'll come out. But I mean, the stuff that we're doing is insane. But regardless, oh, this is actually a good, somebody said the forgotten part of depression. That's another one. You know, when people get depressed, they end up going into neglect. They don't do anything. They just sit in their bed and they just don't do anything. They don't feel like doing anything. And part of that is oral care. And then they don't realize that all this stuff gets that bad that quickly if you let it go. You know, even for just a couple weeks of not brushing your teeth, it can get really bad really quickly. So all I want to say is, to this guy, I feel you, I understand. Get to a dentist, get what you can cleaned up while you can. At least take that first step, and then save what you can, because once they're gone, you're never getting them back. And it's really, really, really one of the most important things in dentistry, is save every single real tooth that you can, no matter what you can do, because they are so, so important. And you don't understand how miserable you'll be once they're gone, and you don't really know that until they are gone, and then there's no turning back. So, you know, I appreciate you for putting it out there to the world so that they can see it. I know that's a really rough thing to do sometimes, and it's embarrassing, but hopefully you at least save one other person from having this issue for the rest of their life. So, all right, let's see. Oh my gosh. Okay, we got some rubber band action here, a little ASMR rubber band stuff here. Let's see what she's got going. Oh, dang, she's hyper on it. She's got her own little hemostat there. Okay. All right. Ooh, interesting. First, I'm going to pause it. This girl is missing teeth. Probably went to an older school orthodontist. I can tell because she's got the old school braces on, and she's missing 4 teeth. She's missing actually these 2 premolars down here, these 2 premolars up here. I really, really don't like you guys taking out your teeth. There's other ways to do this. We can expand with the wires. You can even use an expander if you wanted to. Rubber bands to help get you in the right area, and then a little bit of IPR if we absolutely need to. The huge goal is we don't want to remove teeth to pull things back into that space. You can see her teeth are very straight here, but she has a rather large gap still, top and bottom. That gap has to only be fixed by bringing all of her teeth back. And that's gonna make her face flatter. It's gonna cause airway issues potentially, sleep apnea disorders, a lot of things that are not good, which is why we absolutely do not take teeth out unless we absolutely have to. And that would be the case where it would be so crowded that if you took teeth out and expanded, it would still be the perfect fit for that amount of teeth. But that is very, very, very rare. But anyways, let's continue and see what she's got as far as rubber bands go here. Okay, she's putting on some crazy one. A little triangle, a little front, a little back, a little whatever. Okay, that's an interesting setup. Doesn't really make much sense. She's got like a very small class 3. Okay, that's a forward backwards one. I think she's just placing these rubber bands for funsies, honestly, because this doesn't really make sense. So if you want to look, I'll pause it right there. The ones that she did that were from front to back, those are normally jaw related. So those are for like if someone has an underbite and you're trying to pull it back or something like that. That's what that front to back one would be. And then she has like a couple 2 random up and down ones that doesn't really make sense. You just need one up and down one if that's the case. So, and she's not really in like a huge stage where it's needed for that, because she still has spaces where all those extractions are. So they're gonna need to close up all that space too while she's working on all that. So my guess is she's just putting them on there for fun. But regardless, you're not gonna get this many rubber bands, maybe 2 max, which would be like a top and up and down version, and then maybe a front to back if you have a bite issue. You won't have like 3 or 4 crazy ones like this girl does. Let's see what the commentos say. It's always the people with the straightest teeth that have the craziest elastic setup. And so, to be fair, that's probably not a real setup. And 2, the reason why her teeth are straight is because they probably were crooked. They took out 4 teeth, and then the crookedness just kind of fell into those gaps. It's really, unfortunately, kind of a speeder upper for the old school orthodontist way of doing it. So instead of taking the time to undo it and do the IPR and everything, they're like, oh, we'll just take teeth out. The crowding will fall into it, and then we'll be fine. So That's why she has straight teeth. But unfortunately, like I said, the pulling back of those teeth are just going to pull everything back, cause those lips to go back. It can end up in some cases giving you like that witch's look where you got the nose and chin far and these lips are way back. Not my favorite. So I would highly recommend doing like a self-ligation, like a Damon bracket system that has expansion built into the wires. And then that way you don't have to get teeth taken out, which would be what would be my idea. I want to get braces at 21. Is it worth it? Absolutely yes, because you can basically straighten those teeth anytime. Please just don't get turkey teeth. Don't do that. She confirmed it there. Did you have your premolars removed? I did, 4 of them. But like I said, most orthodontists that are new school, that know the new technology and all this type of stuff, do not take teeth out. So please go get a second opinion if your orthodontist is telling you to remove 4 teeth. Most of the time, you're probably not going to have to do so. You just got to find the right orthodontist that's kind of into the newer age stuff versus the stuff that we did back in the 60s and the 70s. Unfortunately, there's a lot of orthodontists that still practice that way. But my goal is to hopefully change that for you guys. Either way, I do want to say, you know, for this girl, she's probably gonna see this and be like, oh my gosh, I ruined my teeth or something like that. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. It is what it is. Close up the spaces. Do it the best you can. You're still gonna have a beautiful smile. It worked for decades and decades that way. It's just there are some better ways to do it nowadays, but there's nothing that you can do now. You probably don't want to put implants back in those spaces and do all that type of stuff. That would cost you a way tons of money. So you'll probably be just fine. So just, it's gonna be okay. All right, you guys tagged me, said, Bentist, does this work? Because this looks magical. And you know, weirdly enough, is this like whitening stuff? So this is not. This is actually tooth polish. It's not whitening polish. Oh my gosh, okay. All right, actually pretty surprised by the look at that, because normally those like the teeth whitening gels, are not the whitening gels, but like the tooth paints, look almost like you're putting white out on your teeth. Like they're bad. This is like a very mild, kind of clearish white. And you can see it at the end there. It really does give her, I mean, look at that, pause that. I mean, it does give you a little white in there and a white in there. Now, that being said, I still think you should rather just whiten your teeth. Because like a box of our LumiSmart whitening strips or whatever, it probably costs as much as that tooth polish does, right? And all you gotta do is just put this on. So same routine, like at night, you're gonna take a shower anyways, you're gonna spend some time, pop it on before you go take a shower. If you're a girl, put it on before your makeup routine. And this, you know, after 21 days or so, you'll probably get that same differentiation. I've actually been whitening just my top teeth only, and it's actually pretty similar to this, or the whitening I've gotten from our whitening strips versus the bottom. So, I mean, it just depends. Do you want something permanent, or do you want to have to paint something on every single day? If you're gonna do this every single day, you might as well get some whitening strips and get it fixed. Plus, ours are the only whitening strips in the world that are adjustable. They go on the front only, so they don't mess with your speech. You don't have to taste all that nasty stuff. And also, because they only go on the front of your teeth, I mean, you can put them on the back and front, but I like them on the front of my teeth only. That's why they have the adjustable strips. It gives you 60 to 70% less sensitivity while giving you double the strength. So I think whitening strip, especially ours, the LumiSmart by Something Nice, is probably a better option than some tooth polish like that. But I guess if you need it just for one night or something like that, it's a pretty good little thing. I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't know what the brand is. I can't really see. Yeah, I can't really see the brand on her thing there, but I mean, like I said, if I was gonna do it, one, you have to do every single day and it makes no change to your teeth. The other actually does make a permanent change to your teeth, and it's really easy to do every day while you're in the shower or doing makeup or whatever. I mean, whitening strips have came a long way. Trust me, they're pretty awesome now. But let's see what the comments say. Do they agree with me or do they agree with her? Oh my gosh, they're giving, these pictures are crazy, man. That's actually what it looks like. Most of these nail polish ones do look like, and I will say that like it does kind of still look fake versus your real. And everybody else that's also in here saying, oh my God, I thought you used nail polish and holy, I thought you used nail. Please do not use nail polish. This is a specific tooth polish. At least I hope she's not using nail polish. A specific tooth polish that is meant to go on the teeth and it just kind of like peels off over time. So definitely don't do that. Oh my gosh, the Friends one too. That is so true. It really is very similar to that. Like when I see normally people doing the tooth polish stuff, it looks pretty gnarly. Hers actually doesn't look too bad. Maybe it's just because it's one little line on there. But like I said, I would rather be permanent with my real teeth with the actual whitening while you're doing it. So I don't know. What do you guys know? Let me know down below. Okay, you guys tag me this one.
Dentist is scamming. First is when he is too excited to pull teeth. His first response to everything is, I think we should extract, we should pull out. He just wants to shove things in your mouth and pull things out. And this is regardless of whether the teeth actually need to be extracted, whether you have cavities or they're impacted.
Okay, so first one, I agree with actually. I think if a dentist is wanting to extract no matter what in every case scenario, there's something weird there, because a lot of the times we can save that natural tooth. And in fact, A lot of us dentists believe you should try and save the tooth under every circumstance possible instead of extracting it. Actually, it's normally the opposite. We try and tell you not to extract. It's normally the only reason people do extract is because it's the cheapest option possible. But yes, I do agree a dentist would seem a little fishy if he was trying to do this. Let's see what number 2 apparently is the reason when dentists are scamming you.
Second is when you have a tooth gap and they're throwing you in braces without addressing that gap first. Because unless they address this labial frenum or they laser off this frenellum, then the gap will still come back even once you get your braces removed, so you just wasted your money.
Okay, there is actually something really wrong with what he says here, and this is actually really harmful information, and I want to make sure that everybody hears this because this is a really common mistake that even dentists make. And as an orthodontist who actually has a master's in craniofacial growth and development, I want to let you know he was kind of on the right track, but he actually gave you completely false advice. So when you see a tooth gap, he is very right that some of the time, it's not always, if you have a tooth gap, does not mean that you have a frenum issue. Frenum issues cause gaps. Not all gaps are frenum issues. So that's the first thing. But if you see a gap, the first thing that your dentist is going to see is that little thing and say, "Ooh, that labial frenum caused your gap." And so unfortunately, like he said, you need to get this addressed first before you go into braces, or else your gap is going to come back. And that is the exact opposite advice of what you need to do. You need to correct it with the braces first and then cut the labial frenum. Because if you do what he said and you get that labial frenum fixed first before the braces, what actually happens is it causes scar tissue in that area to form. And then when we're trying to close it up with braces, it just bunches up into that scar tissue and will, no matter how much we put it there, we'll shoot it back open no matter what. And so you actually need to close up that gap completely, let your bone remodel and get everything good there, and then cut the frenum, letting the scar tissue form in the new closed position. Now that being said, you still do have some relapse in these scenarios sometimes if the frenum is very, very huge. And so what we do is we put a little bonded retainer on the back of those two front teeth to hold that gap closed. So first one, yes. Number 2, no. That was actually a really bad thing to say. And please, 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 if you're an adult with a kid and your dentist tells you to cut that frenum, go to an orthodontist first before you cut that dang frenum, because if you need any braces or anything like that gap is in the way of it, you are actually signing your kid's death sentence to have that gap forever. So please, please, please do not follow this information. Go get your braces and orthodontics first. Fix the frenum issues after, please. Okay, let's see what third is.
And third is when you visit your dentist and you have a narrow palate like this,
narrow
but
palate.
they tell you that you don't need expansion and all you need is braces. Clearly, if your palate is narrow and looks like this, it's going to be better if we get it to look like this. You're going to even breathe better, but they're not going to tell you that. So if they're telling you you don't need expansion, but you have a palate that looks like this, then it's time to start shopping for a new dentist, because they clearly don't even have expanders in their office.
Okay, this one is also kind of false, but kind of true. I will give him that. So he is very true. If you have a narrow palate, you do need to expand that palate out. That is normal. Now, normally this is an orthodontics thing. This is what an orthodontist would do with braces and Invisalign. If you're going to a dentist, a lot of the time the dentist doesn't really have training in orthodontics. If you don't know, in dental school, they get no training in braces or orthodontics or Invisalign or anything. They just decide one day they want to do it. Hopefully they take some courses on Invisalign, and then all of a sudden magically they can do it all of a sudden. I know it's weird, but it is what it is. So normally it would be a dentist causing this problem. Obviously, if we're going to an orthodontist, we're always going to do the arch. If you have a narrow arch, we're always going to fix it. The only issue that I would say is you don't need an expander necessarily to do that. A lot of us use what's called a self-ligating or a passive self-ligating system like Damon or Pitts or any of these bracket style systems. And what these have is actually expansion built into the wire itself. The wire is way bigger than your mouth, and then when we lock in the wire into your tooth, it actually ends up spreading it out, and you get a lot of expansion just from the wire. So you don't always need expander if you have a narrow palate. You do need expansion though, whether it be with an expander, which is great and does a good job, or with the actual, wire system expanding on its own. So you can obviously tell that this guy is not a dental professional. He's just a content creator. He's actually kind of doing some slight illegal stuff. You're not supposed to kind of pretend to be a health professional. So he's wearing a lot of scrubs. I've seen him before doing some other false, information on stuff like this. So obviously he's just trying to get some views. He's trying to get some money off you. He's trying to maybe sell you something. I don't know. But regardless, don't always believe everything you see on the internet. He's wearing scrubs. He's not a dental professional. He doesn't quite know what he's doing. He's trying to probably get some stuff off Google or ChatGPT or something that he thinks he knows. But the nuances are really important on this. If you're orthodontist, if you come to my orthodontist and I'm like, you don't need an expander, but you need to get you some expansion, you'd be like, oh, well, screw you. You don't give me an expander, so you're not a good orthodontist. No, that's not the case. We're doing the expansion just in the way that you need it with the passive self-ligating system. If you needed an expander, I'd give you an expander, or the labial frenum thing. He would just screw over a lot of people that are going to have gaps for the rest of their life because they cut the frenum before they went and did braces, et cetera, et cetera. So sometimes, unfortunately, this can be harmful. I'm going to go ahead and give him the benefit of doubt and always have positive intent, and that he is just trying to educate you guys. And all I'm doing is hopping on top of him and helping educate and fix some of the mistakes that they're making. But let's go ahead and see what's going on in the comments. See, this is, important because people are actually taking his advice as the real deal. Like, he is a dental professional. They're saying, can you make a video about overcrowded teeth and what I should do about that? I don't even want to know what false information is going to get out about that. More people need to understand the importance of orthodontics. I very highly agree. That's why I've been training you guys and talking to you guys for 6 years about oral care and all the different things in between, and everything that he said today, I've probably talked about in 100 times on other videos over the past years. And so this is actually kind of interesting. Somebody said, hey, I see a lot of your videos and I can see that you know what you're saying. He doesn't. A few questions because I'm completely lost. This girl who's 15 years old, I have braces in January, and the reason is that I have an overbite. And she goes into what she's got going on. And he literally says, if I had your x-rays, it would be easier because pulling one tooth would shift to midline. I need more info. Also expander would whiten, like things like that. That's giving dental advice, like physical, like you're a doctor giving dental advice. That is not a good idea, because now you're pretending to be a dental professional wearing scrubs. You're now giving dental advice to a 15-year-old who has no idea, and you may be giving her the wrong advice, which you've already given in this video. So that's kind of scary, guys. But that being said, like I said, I'm going to say, hopefully he was doing this with positive intent. He didn't mean to misinform you. At least now you know, and you get some positive advice in there. So regardless, hopefully we ended up learning something new today, and we're all going on the right path to oral care being good and saving all your teeth forever. Hope that helps. Oh my gosh, wait till the end. You guys tagged me and this said, holy moly. Oh my gosh, that is a large cavity on the front of the tooth there. Oh my gosh. Holy moly, and you can see all that gunk that he's pulling out of there. Now that could be one of two things. That could be the food itself, or gunk that's been in there, or that can actually be the inside of the tooth. You see, when a cavity breaks, or when the bacteria, they eat sugars, right? And they poop out acid, which weakens your tooth structure. And then they burrow in and get inside your teeth into the dentin layer. That dentin layer is normally kind of a harder consistency, but then once it gets eaten by the cavity bugs, it turns into almost like a cheese-like consistency that you can literally scoop out. You can actually see some of it right there that he's scooping out. That is decay that he is getting out of there that you can easily just scoop out. So what we would do as a dentist, we would make sure that it's super clear. We would go in with a burr and we would actually smooth everything out and make sure that we were back in solid dentin again. And then he would have to get it all filled up from there. But that is a very interesting look at just how, if you leave a cavity alone for a while, it will literally burrow in and dig and create a giant hole inside your teeth, which is actually kind of crazy to see because teeth are really hard. But once it gets through, and it's really about pH and acid that is happening from multiple different sources. The cavity bugs like strep mutans and stuff are just one form of it, which now in our Zero Pro toothpaste, our biotech toothpaste, we're the first oral care company in the world to put this biotechnology into the world to actually directly attack strep mutans and remove it, which is actually really, really cool. But still, holy moly, that is a big cavity. Let's see what the people said in the comments. Someone said the smell, and yes, it does smell. I've smelt a lot of things, even through double masks. It's pretty bad. That's a good point. I feel like not kissing anyone ever again. That's crazy. You guys never think about this, but for every single person you kiss, you get their oral microbiome. Their good and bad bacteria infiltrate your mouth, go into your mouth, and then they mingle. So now you get new bacteria that you never had, good or bad. Like if you've never had cavities before and you get somebody with a high bacterial load like strep mutans, then, well, you're gonna start getting cavities. If you've never had periodontal disease, and your girlfriend has P. gingivalis that's super high and she gives it to you, now all of a sudden you're at risk of gum disease. Kind of gnarly when you think about it. This is why with my tooth cracked, I use mouthwash every day. Now, that's interesting because mouthwash isn't going to magically uncrack your tooth. And so you're going to have to get that fixed because your tooth will just continue cracking all the way down until it's completely broken in half. So you actually want to get it done immediately after you see a crack before the crack gets so big that you lose the teeth. Because it's a small crack, we can actually drill into it, put some composite in, and basically solve it before it causes a problem. But if it keeps cracking, then it'll crack all the way down the root and then it's completely a goner and we got to remove it. So probably you should go get that checked out. Regardless, just another reason to brush and floss. One of the largest pieces of calculus and tartar on the teeth during cleaning. Holy mama moly, that's a lot of calculus. So he's got one tooth there. That's a good sign. Okay, he's got more. Oh yeah, the fog coming out there. That, my friends, is calculus. If you guys do not know, that gunk that forms on your teeth is called plaque. After 24 to 48 hours, that wet, soft plaque that you can brush off, which is why we tell you to brush and floss, turns into hard calculus. Now, every day this process happens, and you can pile up calculus, and you can get a calculus stone, which turns into a calculus ledge, which turns into a giant piece of calculus like this. And you can see him pushing on those teeth. Those teeth are completely mobile now because the inflammation and bacteria live on calculus. And it causes your bone to resorb away because your bone doesn't like calculus. It's bad. And so what happens is you now have a loose tooth that is completely covered in calculus. Those teeth will all be gone. Once he cleans those teeth, they're so wiggly that bone loss has happened so insanely that now every one of those teeth could probably be pulled out with your finger. And so what is the moral of the story here, Bentist? It is to brush your teeth because you want to get that gunk, that plaque off of your teeth so that you don't allow it to harden into calculus. And then number 2, go get your cleaning every 6 months. A lot of people don't know this. That's the point of your cleaning. Even if you brush amazing, there are going to be spots that you are not great at. That calculus is building up and forming, and over time, you'll have bone resorption, you'll have maybe potentially some cavities between your teeth, things like that if you don't get that clean. And you need to go in with a piezoelectric scaler, which is what you see him touching all these things with right now, to make sure that that gets all clean. So do those 2 things, brush, floss, and then go get your 6-month cleanings, and never let your teeth look like this because this is a sign of a mouth of lost teeth. And this guy will probably have to go into dentures. Let's see what they said in the comments. Someone said, don't let him breathe on us like that again, TF. I've had some hot breath coming my way, guys. And that hot breath is pretty insane. Someone else said, I know it smell crazy, and it do smell crazy. I will say you do not even want to know what that smells like because, well, I've smelled it all. Someone's like, the doctor is like, I don't even know where to start. And that's actually true sometimes. Fun fact, this is probably one of the most satisfying things ever for a hygienist. A hygienist would love this case. It's like heaven for them because it's like a before and after. It's like a deep cleaning. You get to take this thing, you get to pop off all these pieces of calculus, you get to clean it up, polish it smooth. It is the most satisfying thing in the world to break off calculus and clean it. I don't know. It's kind of like pressure washing. You know, you've seen those pressure washing channels. Someone needs to make a channel like that because it is satisfying for sure. But the moral of the story is, once again, to brush and floss before you Baja blast somebody else in the face with that nasty stank breath because we definitely don't want that. All right, if you're seeing a video here, that means you should probably watch it because the YouTube algorithm thinks you're gonna like it. Make sure to follow, like, and go check out something nice. My oral care company with the best oral care products on the planet. Till next week, I'm the Bentist, the internet's dentist. I'll see ya, and we'll keep on moving. Bye.